1 minute till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, it is. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Wednesday. Can you believe it? We have gone halfway through the week already. We've gone through the end of July, which is ridiculous to me. I cannot believe we've gone so fast already. Welcome in, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in the flagship station of the Big Talker, KQAM, as we are on radio, TV, live streaming all over the country, and online at HooserReason.com. You can also follow us on social media at Hooser Reason on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, all that good jazz. Although my internet is going really slow, I'm thinking that we have the social media CEOs talking in Congress today, and while they're trying to say, no, we don't censor conservative messages on social media, they're sitting here trying to make things run slow to where the video doesn't work, right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it. So make sure to get on there, say hi, and like it, share it onto your own feeds. We appreciate that very much, no matter where you may be, as we are all over the place. We are almost in all 50 states on downloads of the podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. And boy, do we have a show for you lined up today. So there is the debate going on, the debacle of the new stimulus packages coming out of Washington, D.C. Republicans have their plan, close to a $1 trillion bill. The Democrats have their plan, which is close to a $3 trillion bill. I want to talk about where the heck are we going to get all this money and how is it going to affect the economy, which is why we have our next great guest. And also, after our guest, I want to talk about the taxes. Because you know me, I'm a dork like that, and I like to talk about money and finances and tax rates and where we're going to get the money to spend all this stuff. So it's really funny because the last time we had this guest on was earlier in the month, about the beginning of July, and we had talked to him about the stimulus packages before, how much it is affecting the economy now, and economic recovery moving forward. And the last question we had asked right when we got done before the interview was over was, what would it look like with a secondary stimulus package? And and the catch-22, the rock and the hard place that President Donald Trump would be in politically. We need to do it to keep the economy going and make people happy. On the other end, it's going to financially ruin the country. So I'm excited to bring him back on, as now we have bills actually in front of us and what the details could look like and which one could work better. He is a public policy analyst. He's an economics expert and a professor at a professor of finance at Stockton University. It's Dr. Michael Busler back on the line with us here. Michael, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Andy. How you doing? Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's so good to have you back on the program again. And again, it's perfect timing because now we have these plans. The Democrats want this $3 trillion monstrosity. Republicans want a $1 trillion monstrosity. No one could get along. Republicans apparently hate poor people because they want to cut the $600 weekly unemployment down to $200 to wean it off and then do 70% of what you were making. So that way you're not making more on unemployment than what you were actually working. And Democrats just want to extend the $600 through the end of the year with the option to continue it on thereafter. This is really expensive for the country, isn't it?
Not only is it very expensive, you're spending money, as you mentioned, we simply don't have. So where does it come from? Well, what happens is, and the reason it's such a problem, the federal government this year, before the virus hit, was going to have a $1 trillion deficit. They were going to spend roughly $4 trillion, almost $4 trillion, and take in about $1 trillion less. So they had a $1 trillion deficit before they started this year. That was budgeted. When the virus hit, they passed a $3 trillion stimulus package. So that takes the deficit up to $4 trillion. Plus, because business had to slow down so much and we went into that recession, incomes are down. Tax revenue will probably be about $400 to $500 billion less than they budgeted. So already we're up to a $4.5 trillion deficit. That's more than 3 times the record. The worst we ever did was 2011 was 1.4 trillion. So now we're talking 4.5, and we're at the verge of a second stimulus package. Economically, I'm not sure the stimulus package is even needed. I think the recession ended on April 30th. May and June saw a very quick recovery. Now, we came way down. We have a long way to go. But in the month of May, we added 2.8 million jobs. In an average month, you add maybe 200,000 jobs.
Sure.
So we added 2.8 million. That's twice the record. Retail sales went up 18% in 1 month. So now it had a long way to go. We're not anywhere near back, but it's recovering quickly, according to May. June of the country, I don't think that's enough to derail the recovery. And I think if everybody looked at this from strictly an economic standpoint, most would agree we don't need any more stimulus.
So why are they talking about it, and why are Republicans jumping on board with it? Is it purely political because right now it is the disaster, we're all going to die from this, where we have such an economic hit that we need to do something, so that's why they're just trying to find economic stimulus plan light instead of just saying we don't need it because we're growing, and if we continue this trend then we're going to be in really good shape? Or are they truly concerned that we're going to do another lockdown here soon because of the increase in number of virus cases?
The key word you said was political. So this is a presidential election year, and as a result of that, both parties want to say in November, look, we pulled us out of this. It was us by agreeing to help everybody that brought us out of this. Now, the Republicans, I think, Steve Mnuchin realizes politically we have to do something. I think he's even doing a little too much. The first stimulus package, they gave free money to anybody who paid taxes last year or the year, virtually everybody who paid taxes the last year or the year before, $1,200 to an adult, a single adult, up to $3,400 for a family of 4, whether you were negatively impacted by the virus or not, you got that money. Now, the unemployed people, they saw their income go down. They got unemployment compensation. The federal government added $600 to that. 2/3 of the unemployed people are making more money being unemployed than when they were working.
Yeah.
The result of that is, and I've talked to dozens of businesses, they all tell me they can't get their workers to come back to work because they'll make less money working. So that's a thing that needs to be fixed. The $600 runs out on Friday. As you noted, the Democrats want to extend it forever, it looks like, for a long time at least.
Right.
The Republicans are saying, look, I realize that when people get unemployment compensation, it's usually only about 40, 50, 60% at most, depending on your state, of how much you were earning. So we recognize that you need a little bit of help. So I think Mnuchin came up with a good idea. We'll give you enough government money so that you end up making 70% of what you were making when you were working. So you won't be that hurt, and you have plenty of incentive to go back to work. The sticking point is Mnuchin offered that. The House of Representatives, the Democrats say we want $600 a week for as long as we want it, and that's really what's holding up this stimulus package.
It's really sad, and you're right. And I know this is more of the political side than the financial side of this, but when they talk, I've tried to feel out progressives on social media about their thoughts on this and why we want to give people more money than what they were making when they were working. And their argument wasn't, well, because of the virus or anything related to the virus. It was strictly the fact that, well, people can't survive on minimum wage, so therefore they deserve this, which means that this seems like you mentioned, like a long-term thing. If we can just give them this money, then this is essentially kind of the Andrew Yang style, what he was proposing when he was running for president, of let's just give them a monthly income from the government because they're making more money that way, and this is going to be way better for society than them actually getting back to work where they're actually making less money. And they kind of want that in a political field right now. But that would destroy the country if we went that financially, wouldn't we?
It absolutely would. Andrew Yang had that guaranteed income where everybody, once you turn 18, would get, I think he said, $1,000 a month, and you didn't have to do anything for it. And he came up with all these good reasons why people could pursue other interests, and you don't have to worry about earning any money, and it's really going to be good for people. The reality is, remember, every time somebody gets money, it has to eventually come out of taxes. So when you give somebody money, what you're doing is taking income away from people that have earned it and give it to people who, for whatever reason, haven't earned it. That can't be a good thing. It will stagnate the economy. The high-income earners say, why should I keep earning any more income? The government's going to take it all and give it to somebody else, so there's no incentive for them to go any further. The people that are receiving it say, why should I go to work? The government's giving me all this money free, and I don't have to do anything. So they don't do anything, and it ends up stagnating the economy, and it's against the American principles. You're supposed to get paid according to the value of your contribution. You contribute more to the system, you get paid more. If you don't contribute anything, you're not going to get anything out. So all of this free income is really against the basic American system.
Yeah, well, it really is. I'm really surprised. I mean, you're spot on with it. I'm really surprised that you're allowed to teach at a university saying things like that. I mean, come on, we need to be redistributing wealth, and we need to be just taxing the rich people more. And it's funny because when they mentioned that we need to tax the rich more because they don't pay their fair share in taxes, I lovely, just nice and politely throw out the fact that 25% of the top income earners in the country pay like 85% of all income tax in the country, so they pay more than their fair share. But they don't like to hear those numbers, do they?
No, they certainly don't. And, I teach at a university that was started as a liberal arts college, and I would say 95% of the faculty, and this may be true at a lot of universities, maybe most of them, 95% are very liberal, and they are pushing ideas like this. I'm just I keep my thoughts to myself in most of these conversations, and I'm a tenured full professor now and a kind of a senior member of the faculty, so I don't have to worry too much. But I don't get involved in these discussions because I know they're all going to turn against me, and I really can't reason with them.
Sure.
I try to, when I get into the classroom, though, I try to give the students both sides of an argument, and I try not to give my view, although you can usually tell what it is, but I try to keep my view out of it and say, look, like minimum wage, the faculty will tell you, well, we should raise the minimum wage, everybody should get a living wage, nobody should work for less, it really isn't fair, they deserve $15 an hour. The other side is $15 an hour comes out to be $32,000, $33,000 a year that a business has to pay somebody who has absolutely no skills. And I'm not judging anybody, but that's what minimum wage is. It's going to reduce the number of jobs, and you're going to see more automation. You're going to order from McDonald's from a touch screen instead of a person, so you ruin the number of jobs. So I try to give them both sides, and I said, look, we're supposed to be teaching you critical thinking skills.
Yes.
I mean, we're teaching a whole bunch of specific things, but basically critical thinking skills. So here's what this would say. Here's what the other side would say. What do you think makes the most sense? Rather than the other faculty who seems to just present one side, and when you bring up the other side, it's really a very hostile environment that you're bringing it up in.
Man, an actual teacher and educator making people do critical thinking. I love it. Let's take a break here. We got to take a break. Dr. Michael Busler, public policy analyst, economics expert, and professor of finance at Stockton University. When we come back, I want to talk to you about the minimum wage thing, because I think that would be a very interesting one, and the fact that you're not even supposed to live on that. You're not supposed to raise a family on it. Plus, the fact that the interest rates in the country are going to be unchanged. That announcement came out today as well. We'll do all that and more when we come back. It's a Wednesday here on The Voice of Reason. We have a lot to get to. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome into it. 24 minutes past the hour. Thanks for hanging out the way you do each and every day, which we appreciate it more than you realize. Absolutely. As we try to cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag. Why? Because that's just what we do. And trying to re-educate and rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. We got a few minutes left here with Dr. Michael Busler. He is the public policy analyst, also an economics expert and professor of finance at Stockton University, talking about the latest stimulus recovery money that may be coming out of Washington, D.C. and how it's going to affect us. Let's talk about real quickly, though, as well, the interest rates being unchanged in the nation as they made that decision. Why do you think they remained unchanged? Is it because of the virus, the economic slowdown, the slow recovery, or is it just not the right time to do it yet?
A couple of reasons for it. One, they're going to keep interest rates low until the economy shows strong recovery for some time. They realized they made a mistake in 2016. Between the end of 2016 and the end of 2018, they raised interest rates 8 times. Now, they were rock bottom, admittedly, but they raised them 8 times. And just when the economy was taking off, it tended to slow economic growth. You recall then in 2019, they reversed it and brought interest rates down. I think they dropped them 3 times in 2019. So the point is, they're not going to raise them quickly now until the economy shows some good, sustained growth. Secondly, they wanted to reassure investors and the public at large that although parts of the economy are shutting down now as a result of what's happening, the high number of coronavirus cases, particularly in Florida, Texas, California, a few other states, they wanted to assure them that the Federal Reserve will do everything they can to stop another dip to the economy or a recession going on longer. So the rates were kept low because they don't want to make a mistake and hurt the economy, and they want to assure the American public that the Federal Reserve is going to do what they can to keep this recovery going.
Sure. Looking at the recovery and where the economy is right now, I had heard that even at our low point with this virus, we were still above the peak of what Barack Obama had seen during his administration. If we continue to see this climb that we're seeing over the last few months, like you mentioned, with the job growth that we've seen with a couple million jobs each month, 2 million jobs, 4 million jobs a month, if we continue that kind of trend, are we going to be back on track where we used to be and even higher than that before the end of the year?
Well, had you asked me this a couple of weeks ago, I would have probably said we'll be pretty close by the end of the year or at least the early part of next year. However, with the spike in cases and with a lot of these governors reacting by shutting parts of their economy down, it may take a little bit longer. The jobs report for July will be out the first week in August. I think you're going to see a positive gain in July, probably about 1 million jobs. And it won't be as good as the last 2 months, but it will still be positive and still showing growth. The question is, how bad does the virus get going into August, and how are we going to react to that? So there's a lot of unknowns there. I always take an optimistic view of these things, and I think that some of these therapeutics will come out by the end of August or early September. I think you'll have at least one vaccine and maybe as many as 3 or 4 approved by the FDA by maybe September or October. And since President Trump already bet that they're going to be approved, he's already ordered them to be produced. So once they are approved, we can get them into the hands of the people relatively quickly. Once that happens, consumer confidence comes back, people get their jobs back, the economy opens up again, and the recovery continues. President Trump has set the tone for a strong recovery. So as long as we get this virus under control, President Trump has set up so that the economy will grow. He thinks next year will be the best growth year we've had in decades. We haven't had 4% annual growth since the year 2000. He thinks we could hit it next year, and I agree with him.
He takes the tone and takes charge like he does every time, just like he did as soon as he got into office, and the economy boomed there as well. Dr. Michael Busler, it's always great to talk to you, my friend. We got to get you on again real soon here, and we appreciate the time very much.
Thank you, Andy. My pleasure. Look forward to doing it again.
Hey, always a pleasure. Bottom Now News coming up. We got lots more to get to. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out with us today. It is a Wednesday, halfway through the week, which means it's one heck of a good day because you see the light at the end of the tunnel. The pre-Friday celebration coming up right around the corner tomorrow. Make sure to tune in. You're not going to want to miss it. We have some killer guests. Plus, I got some really exciting news. So we've been working on trying to upgrade a lot of the show, the broadcast itself with the Hooser Media Network and with KQAM Radio and what we're trying to do. And tomorrow, for the first time, we are going to try something that we haven't tried yet on the program, but we are going to try actually doing a video feed interview with our guest tomorrow, which means if you're watching on the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, or on HooserReason.com, then you'll be able to see the actual video of the guest as well. It'll be like an actual TV broadcast. Now, if you're on radio, then you'll just be able to hear the radio broadcast just as usual with our guest, and we're not going to have any audio issues on that front, but we're going to try to start doing many video interviews as well. So make sure to stay tuned in. Make sure to watch it on social media and watch the live feed as we do this because we're growing each and every day. We're going to be expanding by leaps and bounds, and we got some really cool stuff in the works. So just little added features that we're trying to include into the show, plus some other really cool stuff that I can't talk about right now, but we're working on it, and I am exhausted trying to work on this, but we're doing it because I'm so excited and we have some really cool things going on. You can also email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts on any of the guests that we have because we're going to start bringing some guests back on. We've gone about a month without a repetitive guest on the program, so we're going to start cycling through some and still get some new ones on as well, but start getting some of those guests back on the show that have had some really great content over the last month and a half so far. I want to continue talking about this for a second. And I'm a dork this way, so if you're not a finance or a numbers person, bear with me, and I'm going to break it down because that's really what I like to do. I like to break it down so you can understand it very easily because it's a very complicated topic at times, and sometimes I break it down to the point where progressives are like, you're not doing it right. But they like to do really dumb things, like quantitative easing. Andy, what's that? Yeah, exactly. It's dumb. You don't need to worry about it. Quantitative easing, if you haven't heard, is the financial thing where they teach you in college. And it's like, well, the government needs to live in debt. And that's the way we thrive is when we spend money and we invest in it. We just print money without any kind of backing. And we just spend money. We have to live in debt. We can't live in a debt-free, balanced society with a government entity. No, it's got to be in debt. And quantitative easing means it eases the stress of the society and of the market when we're actually in debt as a nation. It's really dumb. That's not the way you operate. It's not the way you operate. If you do that on your home front and you're like, I live in debt and I thrive on it. I have a mortgage. I have a car payment. I have a whole bunch of credit cards. I have a boat payment. I have a skid due payment. Whatever you actually have that you enjoy is your little perks, a motorcycle payment. I got all these things. I live in debt and it's awesome and I thrive on it, right? If you did that, you probably wouldn't be the smartest person in the whole entire world.
It is totally absurd.
I know, right? Thanks, Bernie. So we want to live with a balanced budget. You know that how much money you have coming in. You know how much money needs to go out. Hopefully you can set a little bit aside and you pay off the debts. The whole Dave Ramsey thing. If you've never heard of it, go to Dave Ramsey and you can listen to him and figure out how to get yourself out of debt and how to build some wealth and your emergency savings and all that kind of stuff. That's what the government needs to be doing, right? But we don't live like that in the nation as a government entity. They want to live in debt. I literally got into a discussion with someone on social media a day or two ago that said the times that we boomed as a nation was the times when we printed and spent a bunch of money and we got ourselves into debt. That's when we did really well, right? It's not true, but that's what they claim because they can't live under the idea that we need to be fiscally responsible and not spend a whole bunch of money and not spend it on social programs, by the way, that consume 60 to 65% of our federal budget. Andy, that's not true. We'll get into the federal budget again here real soon. But let's just take this stimulus package as an example. A $3 trillion package from the Democrats, a $1 trillion package from the Republicans, and just like our doctor said in the last, our economics expert, a professor of finance, said we don't need it. We grew 2 million jobs just 2 months ago. Last month, we just grew 4 million jobs back after the coronavirus. And yeah, we're starting to slow back down again, or maybe shutting down things just a little bit again. The state of Kansas, they're working on shutting down all the bars. Why? Because apparently you only get the virus if you go to a bar and drink past 10 o'clock at night. Right? Am I right? Come on, that's what they're trying to say. That's what they're trying to tell you, that you can't get the virus unless you don't wear a mask, and if you go to a bar and drink past 10 p.m., then you're going to get the virus, and it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to get the virus because you're young and dumb and you just want to go hang out with friends and be around people and socialize. So if you go to a restaurant, you don't get it. If you go to the zoo, you don't get it. If you go to the pool, you don't get it. If you wear the mask, you don't get it. Then you're fine. But boy, if you go to the bar at 10 o'clock at night, 10:01, you have a really high risk of getting that virus. So because of that, we need to shut down the industries. We probably need to kill a lot of industry and kill a lot of businesses and bar owners and clubs so we can actually do a bailout here because we want you on the social programs. One of the plans, this according to Reason.com, not our Reason, but their Reason.com, the next coronavirus stimulus plan, more spending, smaller unemployment benefits, and tax breaks for going out to eat. Now, I get that we want to try and stimulate the economy. And we want some unemployment benefits to help people who have been suffering, especially like bar owners. That's a terrible industry to be in right now. Feel really bad. And you know what? Whatever number that comes out to, I kind of like the whole 70% thing. That's what we do with unemployment across the states anyways already. 60, 70% of what you usually get, and we'll give you that. If you're making more money on unemployment, which as he said, close to 2/3 of them are making more money with the $600 additional care stimulus money unemployment than what they would be doing on their work, then 70% would be good, and you can get a side job because there are side jobs around. There are still people hiring right now, and you can get jobs. And we want people to get back to work, and we want to take care of them. Don't get me wrong. We don't want to say, hey, good luck, go do your thing, because that's the portrayal that Democrats do for Republicans is they just want people to die in the streets, and they don't like poor people and all this other garbage. We want to take care of you. We want to do it in a way to where we can get you back on your feet to where you can be self-dependent and go do your own thing. That's the idea. That's why Ivanka Trump came out with her plan to find something else or find the new job or whatever it was. And even the Democrats kind of got on board with that. There are tech schools all over the nation run by very progressive individuals who jumped on board with Ivanka Trump's get something new plan to where, you know what, you lost your job, you can find a different industry to get into. We can get you into a tech school, we can get you certified in something, and you have a brand new trade that you can actually go out and make some money with. Because guess what? We're still looking for plumbers, we're still looking for electricians, we're still looking for manual laborers, we're still looking for welders, we're still looking for farmers, we're still looking for, list goes on down the line. You don't have to be just tight grip to the company, to the man, to where that's the only thing you know how to do. And if you can't do that, then you're just stuck in SOL. You don't want to be in that position, right? But when we talk about these stimulus packages, the last part of this kind of made me chuckle. Tax breaks for going out to eat. Now, again, we want to stimulate the economy. We want people to spend their money. I wanted to ask him before he left, and I didn't get a chance to do it, on what the best way to grade the economy on how well we're doing is, whether it's job growth or whether it's consumer spending. Because to me, consumer spending would be the top notch. If people spending are spending their money, then we know that they feel comfortable enough to spend their money. They have enough money in the bank. They have enough money to be able to pay their bills, and they're going out and buying consumeristic goods. They're going and buying frivolous things. They're buying cat stands for their home. They're buying boats, they're buying homes, they're buying CDs, or they're going out to eat at restaurants because they're comfortable enough to do so. If you're tight on the budget and you're having to live on ramen noodles, then you're not going to be out spending money on a boat or a CD or a video game. I'm just saying, right? So why would we give tax breaks for going out to eat? This is where I get really worked up when it comes to tax issues and spending at the federal level. If you can give a tax break and an incentive for something, why do we need to do it in the first place? If we're okay as a government entity to not have that sales tax money coming into the system, why are we doing it in the first place? I'd like to break down for you. And this is according to cbpp.org, which is economic policy. It's just a website where they break things down like this. They show the source of federal tax revenue and where the money comes in and how it comes in. And do you know what the number one is? Obviously, it's income tax. 51% of all the revenue coming into the federal government is income tax. Second is payroll tax at 35%. Corporate income tax is at 6%. Imagine this. Corporate income tax, how much money the rich CEOs make and how much they get taxed on having employees. The corporate income tax is at 6% of the entire federal budget. That is a lot of money. And then another 8% at excise, estate, and other taxes, which I would guess would be retail taxes involved in there as well, which really boggles the mind. You'd think sales tax would be the number one because that's what it used to be. But think of how far we've come. We've gone from the majority of our nation, when we started this nation back in the day, we didn't have an income tax. I know that wigs a lot of people out. We didn't have an income tax then. We had a sales tax, and that's how the government made their money, is when you purchased goods, when you went and bought food, when you went and bought a sword, when you went and bought a horse, when you went and bought a carriage, when you went and bought stuff, you paid a sales tax. When you bought tea or guns, you paid a sales tax, and that went to the government. Now, that's not even a blip on the radar for the massive amount of money that comes into the federal government. It's income tax. Them saying we're just going to take money right off the top of your paycheck and then you can have whatever's left. And the Democrats are the ones, progressives are the ones that turn around and say that's not enough. We need to do more of that because it's 51% of our income for the federal government. That's our meat and potatoes right there. And we need to beef up those meat and potatoes and make them just a little bit thicker. Now, to me, that's crazy. And if we're going to do a stimulus package to where we're going to write off and actually give tax incentives to go buy restaurant food and fast food, then why do we need that money in the first place to go to the government when we can have it back in our pockets all the time? And we can always incentivize people to go to the bar or go to the restaurants or go spend your money buying CDs or video games or boats or whatever you like to spend the money on, because that's where the money belongs, is in your pocket. Because it's not when the government spends money that boosts the economy, it's when you do. It's when you have your money to go spend the money to go do your things, because you're making enough money and feel comfortable in doing it, because that's how a consumer supply and demand economy actually works. Crazy thoughts, right? But the progressives, they just like to do things backwards anyways. All right, one more segment. We got lots more coming up. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason. Don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into it. Wrapping up the program today. So much to get to, so little time to do it. So we just have the best kind of fun we can each and every day. And it really makes sense when you really look into it and you unveil the layers of the onion here, how deep this ideology runs when they think that government's going to be the save-all here, when government's the one that when they spend the money is what booms the economy. It's not the discussion I had on social media was this guy, and he was like, oh, yeah, well, look at it. And I had mentioned the terrible economy and the inflation rate and how bad it was under Jimmy Carter. And then Ronald Reagan came in the 80s, and he cut taxes, cut regulation, and things boomed. And he said, no. He's like, it's because the government spending tripled under Ronald Reagan, which is true. It went up quite a bit. And it went up, by the way, under social programs. So they can't say that he actually hates poor people or that he didn't like social programs, because social program spending went up quite a bit during Ronald Reagan's times. But it was not because of the fact that there was spending. It was because he cut taxes. He cut taxes and he cut regulation. So therefore, the economy went nuts because people had money. They could spend money. They could actually do what they needed to do. And that was a very good thing, is it not? When you have money in your pocket, you could spend money. But it makes sense now because if you remember correctly, a few weeks back, we had talked about the release of Joe Biden's plan that he had for the economy. And his plan was exactly that, was that he was going to spend money, whatever he called it, the economic recovery plan or the Make America Spend Money Again plan, or whatever the heck he called it, where he wanted to spend close to $750 billion on the economy. And if he spent the money, we wanted to buy American products. He wanted to invest in this and invest in that. That was going to be his recovery plan. So this isn't some just like far left loony kind of radical idea. This is the mainstream Democrat thought process that if the government spends the money, the government's going to make the economy do well, when they have no idea how an economy works. Especially a laissez-faire free market capitalist society where supply and demand and consumeristic purchasing is what actually drives it. Because when you purchase something, that makes the business that you bought it from thrive, which means they can buy more of the product that they get from a distributor, which the distributor gets it from the company that actually makes it, which they get it from the raw materials. And do you realize how many jobs that creates throughout that entire line? That's what creates an economy. That's what makes the economy boom. That's what makes things do really well. Not the government saying, I'm going to throw a bunch of money over here and buy it. But that's the Joe Biden mentality, and some people actually fall for this. Speaking of Joe Biden, he came out, what was it, today, where he said he was announcing that by next week, early August, he's going to be announcing his vice presidential running mate. And it's interesting to see how cutthroat some of these are. There's a story that Kamala Harris, who is on one of the top line potential ticket items there, that she's been running ads on social media attacking the other potential candidates for the vice president because she's that power hungry. Now, that really fits in line with the rumors that we've heard about her as well in the past and what she's done to be able to get to where she is right now with some not so clean acts that she's performed in order to get up to that position. So now she's playing dirty politics again by attacking candidates. I mean, this is her own party. This is supposed to be like we get together. We're supposed to be working together here to promote the same kind of agenda, the same kind of message, try and work together to beat Donald Trump and the Republicans. But she's going on the campaign trail now, attacking viciously with campaign ads the other potential candidates for the VP with Joe Biden because she wants it that badly, which I think is hilarious. You know what? Good for them. Let them shoot themselves in the foot. But the other ones, now I don't know a whole lot of these, but all of them, of course, are women because Joe Biden wants to play the race card and the sex card. So many of them are of minority descent, and all of them are women, including California Senator Kamala Harris and Susan Rice, who served as the national security advisor under Barack Obama. I'm sure that one's going to work out really well. Here's the thing, though. I almost think, and I still have this weird conspiracy suspicion, that Michelle Obama is going to pop up. Now, her name's not on this list. It includes Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, Elizabeth Warren, Tammy Baldwin, Florida Representative Val Demings, I don't even know who that is, Karen Bass, representative from California, and a few others from like Michigan with Gretchen Whitmer, governor, and Michelle Grisham from New Mexico. These are the names that are potentially being popped up right now as potential candidates for Joe Biden, but Michelle Obama is not on this list. Now, I think that she's going to be at some point because, well, she's Michelle Obama, and Joe Biden was with the Barack Obama administration, and then she came out with, according to theweek.com, she's now come out with a podcast where they say the podcast sounds suspiciously like a Trump or a Stumpet speech to announce a run for office. And if they're planning like we think Joe Biden to be removed from office if he gets in there and had the VP run things, what better way to do it than unite the party again with the Obamas with the hope and change mentality? And Michelle would be perfect for that. Even though she said she wouldn't run, she could be nominated and kind of forced into it, and then everybody would love the Obamas again, and she would be running things by the end of the day because Joe Biden obviously can't even find where the door is because he needs to be held out that way as well. That's it for us today. Podcast going up in a little bit. Appreciate you all hanging out. Come back tomorrow, and we'd love to see you there. Until then, be your own voice of reason, as this is the Voice of Reason. Everybody have a great evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.